fun එක next level කරන dialogue fan blaster.
Tonight, on First at 9 this Thursday the 26th of December 2024. Tsunami Remembrance. 20 years since the devastating tsunami of 2004. Sri Lanka commemorates victims with a 2-minute silence. 2 million arrivals. Sri Lanka welcomes the 2 millionth tourist in 2024. New Year's plans. Government expects to lower borrowing limit for 2025 following the successful conclusion of bond restructuring. Deputy Minister pledges more support for the SME sector next year. Innovative rebrand. Sri Lanka must brand itself as a global centre for technology and innovation, says Sri Lankan Ambassador for Science, Technology and Innovation. Emphasizes the importance of digitizing the economy.
Chilo Dairy, Sri Lankawama Kiren Perata. ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
කට්ට පරිස්සම් කරගත්තොත් අපි පරිස්සම්.
Asian Paints Causeway Aquasave වැස්සත් මට්ටුවෙන් ගෙදරත් තිස්නේ.
This is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Sri Lanka's premier primetime English news bulletin, Derana First at 9. I'm Tarindu Mahendra, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and from around the world. Now today marks 20 years since the devastating tsunami in 2004, which claimed at least 300,000 lives across Sri Lanka and several other countries in the region. Sri Lanka observed a 2-minute silence this morning in commemoration of the lives lost during the tragedy. Meanwhile, a special train bound for Beliata departed from Colombo Fort in remembrance of the victims of the catastrophic train wreck in Peralia, with the locomotive engine that faced the tragedy being specially repaired for the occasion. The tsunami on the 26th of December 2024 was triggered by a 9.1 magnitude quake off the coast of Sumatra in Indonesia, sending waves as high as 17.4 meters slamming into the coastlines of Indonesia, Thailand, Sri Lanka, India and other countries in the affected region. The tsunami's strongest waves, which originated near the island of Sumatra, reached Sri Lanka within 2 hours at a speed of 800 kilometers per hour. At around 9:26 in the morning, the relentless waves swallowed coastal areas, claiming around 35,000 lives and instantly destroying property worth millions of rupees. Today marks 20 years since that tragic day in 2004. In remembrance of all those who lost their lives to the ocean that day, Sri Lanka observed a 2-minute silence from 9:25 to 9:27 am this morning. Families lit oil lamps to commemorate their deceased loved ones. A special train bound for Beliata departed at 6:50 am this morning from Colombo Fort railway station in remembrance of the passengers and railway workers whose lives were claimed by the train wreck at Paralia. The locomotive engine that faced the catastrophe during the tsunami in 2004 was specially repaired for the occasion. The train stopped at the Paralia railway station for 10 minutes to pay homage at the monument dedicated to the victims of the tragedy. In 2005, the 26th of December was declared National Safety Day to commemorate the victims of the tsunami. This year, National Safety Day was observed at a district level across the island, while a special commemoration took place in front of the Paralia Tsunami Memorial statue in Hikkadua. In the meantime, the main commemoration of National Safety Day was held earlier today at the Ministry of Disaster Management under the patronage of Deputy Minister of Defence retired Major General Aruna Jayasekara and Defence Secretary retired Air Vice Marshal Sampath Tuyakonta. Religious activities were conducted at the event in commemoration of the victims of the tsunami.
Union Assurance.
Welcome to Cinnamon Life, South Asia's biggest entertainment hub, where awe awaits.
Sadaharita Plantations Limited, celebrating 22 years of your trust.
Aspirations Education, a pioneer in overseas education. Meet our experts at top destinations worldwide. Your trusted and caring partner in overseas education.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
The Deputy Minister of Economic Development, Professor Anil Jayanta Fernando, says that the restructuring of the $14.2 billion of international sovereign bonds will allow government to lower the borrowing limit for next year. He made this statement during a press conference held at the Presidential Media Centre today. On December 20, the government signed a bond exchange agreement with international sovereign bondholders to restructure $14.2 billion worth of bonds. This amount comprises a principal of $12.55 billion and accrued unpaid interest arrears totaling $1.7 billion.
ආර්ථික ස්ථායීකරණය කිරීමේ කියන කාරණය ඒක අපේ ප්‍රතිපත්ති ප්‍රකාශනයේත් විශේෂයෙන්ම සඳහන් කළා.
We specifically mentioned economic stability in our manifesto. By now we have laid the foundation for achieving that stability. As the final step in this process, we signed bond exchange agreements with the ISP holders on the 20th of this month. This process involved risk. If we had failed to secure these agreements, we would have had to increase our borrowing limits. This is why we initially proposed additional borrowings of 3 trillion rupees in our war-torn account. However, since the agreements have been successfully concluded, we now have the opportunity to reduce our borrowing limits for 2025. With the agreement signed just 2 days before September 21st, 99% of the external debt has been restructured or is at an advanced stage of agreement. The only remaining portion involves debt to Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan and Iran, totaling to approximately $300 million. At one point, we faced a critical decision whether to renegotiate all terms to seek further advantages for the country or to proceed with the current course to achieve our goals. Considering our mandate to recover the country from the crisis, the practical choice was to continue moving forward. Delay in the process would have increased costs, placing an even greater burden on the public, a burden we know they cannot bear, nor would we wish to impose. Unfortunately, rumors are being spread suggesting that the country will collapse again, citing shortages of certain goods. These claims lack a foundation in the current economic fundamentals. If questioned about these fundamentals, most would agree that the government is actively addressing the situation, though it requires time. It will take time for the people to see the benefits of these measures. However, by end 2025, we expect significant improvements in the lives of the people, businesses, income levels and other economic indicators.
Meanwhile, Deputy Minister of Finance and Planning Dr. Harshana Surya Peruma discussed the relief given to small and medium-scale enterprises and the extension of the moratorium on the execution of Parate law.
Instead of SME sector being just dropped in with another mere extension of similar to what was done in the past, it has been the priority of the current government to ensure SME sector is provided with adequate relief, not mere extension, but at the same time to ensure stability of the banking sector is safeguarded. Therefore, together with the Central Bank, Ministry of Finance, SME sector and the banking sector, we have worked out a relief mechanism that is acceptable to all parties. During that process, we identified 99% of the borrowers who were in the stage 3 default category in terms of number of borrowers have borrowed less than 25 million rupees in terms of capital. So adequate relief have been provided as of now. In addition to the extension of parate until end of March, 12-month period has been granted to borrowers who have taken less than 25 million in terms of capital, 9 months extension to SME sector who have borrowed 25 to 50 million, and anyone beyond a 6 months period.
Sri Lankan Ambassador for Science, Technology and Innovation Dr. Bandula Vijay says Sri Lanka must brand itself as a global centre of technology and innovation. Joining our current affairs program at Hyde Park within the Indivara Amuwatta, Dr. Vijay said the best method to achieve this goal is to fund innovative startups that will make Sri Lanka an industry leader in their particular fields. He highlighted the digitization of the economy as a crucial method of financing these startups, as well as a pivotal step in realizing Sri Lanka's broader development goals.
After government spoke about budgetary allocations for research and development, which is significantly low in Sri Lanka. What would your approach be?
One of the things I suggest is branding. We have to brand the country. We have branded ourselves in tea. We have branded ourselves as a tourist destination. But we have to go beyond that. We have to brand ourselves as a leader in some sort of technology. Now, we have a huge IT industry. What we do in this IT industry is we serve some companies in the world, which is great. Brings dollars to the country. But what we need to do is not serve Google, but become Google. You have to come up with a concept that can change the world. Let's say you develop a system using artificial intelligence where you can find where the fish is in the ocean. Then you can sell it to Japan. You can sell it to China. And we branded ourselves as the country that developed the Uber for fish. Now, how do we do this? One of the most important things to do is the digitization of the economy. This is one of the things the government has already undertaken. This is something I fully stand behind. If we are able to buy a cup of coffee using an app, you buy your bus ticket. So if you do that, for every transaction that happens, you take a 1 rupee out of it. You will have earned about ₹1 billion a month. When you take that out, you put it into a fund, not by the government. Let the fund go to a private fund manager. Let him put the fund in the stock market. Other people can now invest more money into this fund. Now we use this fund to support the startup scene. Out of 100 startups, maybe 80 of them will fail, but that's okay. But the 10 startups that are successful will bring income to support the fund. So this fund will grow by itself. Of these startups, the 10 that will succeed have to be the ones that put Sri Lanka on the map. So you only fund these ideas that will brand Sri Lanka as a nation that is known for a particular thing, like artificial intelligence, like medical devices, a treatment for cancer based on Ayurvedic medicine. It doesn't matter what it is, but so long as we are the best in the world and we are the branded country for that particular purpose.
Fast track your career from O levels with eSoft.
ඩයබටිසෝල් සීනි වලින් පරිස්සම් වන ඔබට අමතක නොවන පෝෂණය.
ප්‍රයිම් ගෲප් ලංකාවේ ප්‍රථම වතාවට හඳුන්වා දෙන ලෑන්ඩ් ලීසින් ලේසියෙන් මීටමක්.
Single 1111 up to 60% off from the 11th November to the 17th of November.
Kalani wire කිසිගින්නක් නෑ.
කිසිගින්නක් නෑ. Kalani Fire Shield Wire.
This season, get up to 25% discount on Arpico Foam and Spring mattresses. Available at Arpico Supercenters.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
Sri Lanka today welcomed the 2 millionth tourist to visit the island this year, drawing closer to the year-end target of surpassing 2.3 million arrivals. The 2 million arrivals so far this year is the most arrivals recorded since 2018, before a series of unfortunate events including the Easter Sunday attacks, the COVID pandemic and the economic crisis hindered the tourism sector. Despite the economic crisis, Sri Lanka's tourism sector has shown significant improvement, with tourist arrivals steadily increasing throughout the year. The country, which set a target of 2.3 million tourists for the year, welcomed its 2 millionth visitor today, a Thai national. To commemorate the milestone, the Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau organised a special ceremony at Bandaranaike International Airport this morning.
We are from Thailand. This is my first time in Sri Lanka, and we are so lucky that this is our holiday, and we think that Sri Lanka is the best place for our holiday.
To celebrate our New Year, I read a lot about Sri Lanka because I'm a Buddhist, and I think this is my dream destination for Buddhists. We have a plan to visit many temples in Kandy and Dambulla.
මම හිතන්නේ අද ඉතාමත්ම ඓතිහාසික දවසක් ශ්‍රී ලංකාවට සංචාරක කර්මාන්තයේ අපේ ඉතිහාසයේ දෙවෙනි වතාවට තමයි අපි සංචාරකින් මිලියන 2 සීමාවට ළඟා වෙන්නේ. අපි දන්නවා 2018 වර්ෂයේ මිලියන 2.3ක් එහෙම නැත්නම් ලක්ෂ 23ක් සංචාරකයෝ අපේ රටට පැමිණුණා. ඒ නිසා ඊළඟ අවුරුද්දට අපි සැලසුම් කරලා තියෙනවා සංචාරකින් ලක්ෂ 30ක් ආකර්ෂණය කරගන්න.
අපිට පේනවා තායිලන්තය, සිංගප්පූරුව, මැලේසියාව වගේ අපේ කලාපේ රටවලුත් සංචාරකයන් ලංකාවට ආකර්ෂණය වෙමින් පවතිනවා. මේකත් එක්ක මේ ආසියානු සංචාරකයන්ගේ වර්ධනය, යුරෝපීය සංචාරකයන්ගේ වර්ධනය සමගම සිද්ධ වෙනවා කියන්නේ අපිට ඉතාමත් හිතකාරී වාතාවරණයක් ලැබෙනවා අර ඉලක්කය කරා ළඟා වෙන්න.
The tourism industry, which was severely impacted by the pandemic and the economic crisis, has been on a steady path to recovery since November last year, bringing renewed hope to the sector. From January to March this year, the country welcomed over 200,000 tourists each month. India contributed the largest number of visitors, totaling 399,224, followed by Russia with 189,289 and the United Kingdom with 172,404. Additionally, a significant number of tourists arrived from Germany, China and France. Former Minister of Tourism Harin Fernando also shared his thoughts on this achievement.
I
would like to congratulate Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau and the Tourism Development Authority for their efforts in achieving this milestone. Our target was to welcome 2 million tourists, and until September much of this progress was achieved under our government, with the current administration continuing the work. I would also like to extend my gratitude to the industry stakeholders who supported us during the most challenging times. I firmly believe that Sri Lanka can overcome its challenges by uniting under the Sri Lanka Can theme. I wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Chairman of the State Pharmaceuticals Corporation, Dr. Manuj Veerasinghe, assures all necessary measures will be implemented to ensure a continuous medicine supply in 2026. He made this statement while addressing a media briefing today. Addressing the same briefing, Director General and Chief Executive Officer of the National Medicines Regulatory Authority, Dr. Savin Semege, said the authority identified substandard batches of 39 types of medicines which were subsequently removed from use. We have commenced all necessary programs and procedures required to ensure a continuous supply of medicines in 2026. There are 4 institutes established for this initiative, and these institutes are conducting these programs with proper coordination. Therefore, we expect that all issues will be resolved by mid-2025.
We received reports of substandard batches of only 39 types of drugs this year. However, the quality of a drug is not only measured by its chemical composition, and as such, we had to remove some drugs from use due to labeling issues. The drugs that were removed from use this year were imported last year. The regulatory system did not properly function in 2023 and 2022. Out of the 39 types of drugs that were removed from use within state hospitals, 16 were imported last year.
Sri Lanka police says 395 drivers who were under the influence of alcohol were arrested during the last 24 hours during the special operation aimed at reducing vehicle accidents during the festive season. The police stated that they will request the court to suspend the driving licenses of the arrestees for at least a year. Meanwhile, Acting Inspector General of Police Priyantha Veerasurya has issued a series of directives for police officers engaged in traffic duty. Accordingly, the police officers have been instructed to wear luminous jackets and gloves to ensure that they are clearly visible to drivers. Officers are also instructed to use the red flashlights provided to police stations to signal drivers to stop. Meanwhile, the implementation of the police department's annual transfer orders for next year has been suspended for 6 months. The relevant order was issued by Acting Inspector General of Police Priyantha Veerasurya on the 24th of December. The transfer orders were originally scheduled to come into force on the 1st of January 2025, but now have been extended until the 30th of June. The acting IGP has also stated that if any officers request their annual transfer orders to be implemented earlier due to urgent circumstances, a report must be submitted by the Senior Deputy Inspector Generals in charge of the respective province and forwarded to the Deputy Inspector General in charge of Human Resource Management. However, acting IGP Priyantha Veerasuriya has clarified that this directive will not affect the implementation of the 2025 annual transfer orders, which will be carried out based on duty requirements. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka Customs has resumed the clearance of imported rice today, which was briefly halted. Customs media spokesman, Additional Director General Sivali Arugada stated that importers who imported rice into the country can clear their shipments from this morning. The government granted permission for private sector rice importers to import rice between the 4th of December and the 20th of December to address the rice shortage, and 67,000 metric tons of rice were imported. During a recent cabinet meeting, the deadline for rice imports was extended until the 10th of January 2025, with the relevant Gazette notification issued on the 24th of December. The annual series of religious activities organised by the Derana Media Network at the historic Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic in Kandy was held this year as well. Accordingly, the Gilan Pasa Puja and the afternoon alms offering for 60 members of Buddhist clergy were held with the participation of Derana Media Network founder MP Dilip Jayavira, the board of directors and employees. The chief prelate of the Askeri chapter, Most Venerable Varakagoda Sri Jnanarathanathera, the deputy chief prelates of the chapter and the deputy chief prelates of the Malvatu chapter were present at the event. Welcome back. The Colombo bourse remained in positive territory today as a result of price gains in counters such as LOLC Holdings, Hatton National Bank and Sunshine Holdings. The all share price index closed 1.53% higher at a new all-time high, 15,400.53 points. The S&P SL20 increased 1.48% to end at 4,602.40 points. Market turnover crossed 7 billion rupees. The capital goods sector was the top contributor to market turnover, followed by the food, beverage and tobacco sector. Foreign investors closed as net buyers, purchasing shares worth 177 million rupees. And up next, we have Minal Vikramage from Capital Alliance with some thoughts on the current status of the economy in our next segment, Economic Outlook.
Sri Lanka's economy displayed robust growth in the third quarter 2024, expanding by 5.5% year-on-year. This performance was supported by contributions from all three major economic activities. The agriculture sector grew by 3%, the industrial sector recorded an impressive 10.8% growth, and the services sector expanded by 2.6%. Taxes less subsidies on products surged by 13.3%, underscoring the positive momentum across the board. This highlights the resilience and potential of Sri Lanka's industrial base as it recovers and strengthens. Taking a look at the financial sector, the weekly average weighted prime lending rate for the week ending December 20th saw a decrease of 10 basis points, settling at 8.72%. Meanwhile, the average weighted call money rate remains stable at 8%. The country's liquidity conditions reflected a surplus of 136.14 billion LKR by December 20th.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of First at 9. Thank you for joining and have a good night.